Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I am your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator philosophy to help you build a spending plan that fits your life, grow your savings and investments, and knock out debt with confidence. Before we dive in, I just want to say I hope you had a fantastic 4th of July weekend. I missed being with you last week. I was down for the count with my first ever bout with COVID. Yep, I made it this long without catching it, but it finally got me. I'm back now, mostly upright, and grateful for cough drops, naps, and fever reducers. Now, let's talk about something that doesn't show up on most spreadsheets, but shows up in your soul: burnout. That moment when you've tried the budget, you've cut the lattes, you've downloaded the apps, you've said no to dinner out, yes to meal prep, and still feel like you're spinning your wheels in a financial fog. If you've ever thought, I'm doing everything right, so why does it still feel so hard? This episode is for you. Because burnout doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're human. And today we're going to talk about how to reset your money mindset when you're tired of trying. We're going to explore why burnout happens even when you're following the quote unquote rules, the difference between a spending plan and a punishment plan, and how to reset your Triggator Triangle with grace, not guilt. Because here's the truth. Budgeting isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, breathe, and begin again. So grab your favorite drink, your notebook, or just a quiet moment, and let's talk about how to lead your money when your motivation is running on fumes. Let's get into it. Why burnout happens, even when you're doing the right things. Let's start with a hard truth. You can do everything right with your money and still feel completely worn out. You can build a budget, track your spending, cut the extras, say no to drive-through, and still feel like you're stuck in a financial treadmill that's going nowhere. And that's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're doing it alone, under pressure, and without rest. Burnout doesn't just happen if you're reckless. It happens when you're relentless. When you're constantly trying to get it right, but the numbers still don't add up. When you're carrying the weight of your family's future, your past mistakes, and your present stress all at once. And let's be honest, sometimes budgeting feels less like a plan and more like a punishment. You open your spending plan and it's like, welcome back to the land of no fun, no freedom, and no fries with that. But that's not what budgeting is supposed to be. Budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about direction. It's not about guilt. It's about clarity. And if your plan is making you feel like a failure every time you open it, it's time to rewrite the plan, not your worth. Why burnout sneaks in. Burnout shows up when your effort isn't matched by progress, when you're doing the work but not seeing the win. And in personal finance, that can look like making sacrifices but still living paycheck to paycheck, paying off one debt only to have another pop up, saving for emergencies, then draining it for the third time this year, saying no to every want but still not feeling secure. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Eventually, you stop pouring. And that is when burnout hits. According to a 2023 survey by the American Psychological Association, 65% of adults say money is a significant source of stress. And that number can jump even higher among those who are actively budgeting or trying to pay off debt. That's right, even the people doing the right things are feeling the pressure. Why? Because most budgeting advice focuses on behavior, but not the burnout. It tells you what to cut, but not how to cope. It tells you how to save, but not how to sustain. And that's where the Triggator philosophy is different. The Triggator Triangle isn't about perfection. Here's where the Triggator Triangle comes in. Budget, save, pay off debt. It's not a checklist to shame you. It's a rhythm to guide you. And rhythms have grace built in. You don't have to hit every note perfectly. You just have to stay in the song. So if you're feeling burned out, here's your permission slip. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to reset your triangle without resetting your worth. Because burnout isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you've been fighting. And now it's time to fight smarter, not harder. Here's a line from The Office that hits harder than it should. Michael Scott says, "I know exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I have no idea what to do." That's financial burnout in a nutshell. You've read the books, you've listened to the podcast, you've downloaded the apps, but when it comes time to make your next money move, you feel frozen. Not because you're lazy, but because you're exhausted. And exhaustion doesn't need more effort, it needs rest. It needs reframing. It needs a plan that works with your energy, not just your income. What to do when you're tired of trying. If you're nodding along right now, here's what I want you to know. You're not alone, you're not broken, and you're not behind. You're just tired. And tired people don't need more hustle, they need more hope. So here's your next step. Don't throw out the triangle, just reset it. In the next section, we're going to talk about the difference between a spending plan and a punishment plan, and how to build one that actually supports your life, not just your bills. Because budgeting shouldn't feel like a burden, it should feel like a breath of fresh air. Let's keep going. The difference between a spending plan and a punishment plan. Let's talk about something that might be quietly sabotaging your financial progress. Your spending plan might not be a plan. It might be a punishment. I know that sounds dramatic, but hear me out. If your plan feels like a list of things you're not allowed to do, it feels like a constant reminder of what you can't afford, if it makes you feel guilty every time you look at it, then it's not a spending plan, it's a punishment plan. And no one sticks with a punishment plan for very long. Why this happens? Most of us were never taught how to build a spending plan that reflects our values. We were taught how to cut back, how to tighten the belt, how to live within our means, which often translates to live without joy. So we create a plan that's all restriction and no rhythm, all sacrifice and no sustainability. And then we wonder why we burn out. According to a 2023 study published by Forbes Health, 61% of Americans say that they feel anxious about money on a regular basis, even when they're actively trying to manage it. That's not because they're doing it wrong, it's because their plan is missing something vital: permission. Permission to enjoy, permission to rest, permission to be human. What a spending plan actually is. A spending plan isn't just a budget with a better name. It's a mindset shift. It's the difference between saying, "I can't spend money on that," and "I've already assigned my money to something more important." It's the difference between guilt and clarity. A punishment plan says, "You're not allowed to have fun until you're debt-free." A spending plan says, "Let's make a little room for fun and freedom on purpose." A punishment plan says, "You messed up, you don't deserve to enjoy money." A spending plan says, "You're learning. Let's adjust and keep going." The psychology of permission. Here's something powerful from Psychology Today. When people feel deprived, they are more likely to rebel against their own goals. Restriction without reward leads to burnout, not behavior change. That's why so many people start spending plans with good intentions and quit within a month. They're not lazy, they're not undisciplined, they're exhausted from trying to live inside a spreadsheet that doesn't reflect their real life. The spending plan test. Here's a quick test to see if your plan is a spending plan or a punishment plan. Number 1, does it include joy? If there's no line item for fun, rest, or celebration, you're running on fumes. Number 2, does it reflect your values? Are you assigning money to what matters most to you or just reacting to bills? Number 3, does it give you grace? Is there room for mistakes, surprises, or off days? Number 4, does it feel empowering or exhausting? A good plan should feel like a tool, not a trap. If your current plan fails this test, don't panic. You're not failing, you're just ready for a better rhythm. How to build a spending plan that works. Let's rebuild your plan with the Triggator Triangle in mind. First, budget with purpose. Using budget as a verb, assign every dollar a job. But don't focus just on the bills, focus on priorities. That includes giving, saving, and yes, some joy. Second, save with intention. Use the safer method we've talked about. S, save for A, alligators, those non-monthly expenses that can jump up and bust your budget. F for fun. E for emergencies. And R for retirement. Even if it's just $5, assign it. That's leadership. Third, pay off debt with strategy. Use the method that fits your mindset. Snowball, avalanche, or custom. But don't let debt dictate your entire plan. You're more than your balance. Fourth, include a fun fund. Even if it's just $10 in your plan, even if it's just a coffee or a movie night, joy is not a luxury. It's a fuel to keep you going. Fifth, review regularly, not just monthly. Your life changes fast. Your plan should flex with it. A weekly check-in as you're getting your rhythm keeps you connected without the overwhelm. Here's a quick quote from Zig Ziglar, and it fits perfectly here. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Your spending plan isn't a one-time fix. It's a rhythm, a reset, a reminder of what matters. And when you build it with grace, not guilt, it becomes something you want to stick with, not something you dread. What's next? In the next section, we're going to talk about how to reset your Triggator Triangle when you're burnt out without starting from scratch. Because you don't need a new plan, you need a renewed one. Let's keep going. How to reset your triangle with grace, not guilt. Let's talk about what to do when your Triggator Triangle feels like it's been knocked over, stepped on, and left in the corner with a sticky note that says, try harder. Because here's the truth. Sometimes life happens. Sometimes your spending plan gets derailed. Sometimes your savings get drained. Sometimes your debt payoff momentum stalls out. And when that happens, it's easy to feel like you failed. But you haven't failed. You've just hit a reset point. And the good news, the Triggator Triangle was built for this. Why guilt doesn't work. Let's start with the emotional side. When your plan goes off track, your brain loves to throw a party, and guilt is the guest of honor. You hear things like, you should have known better, you're back to square one, you'll never get ahead. But here's the thing, guilt doesn't lead to growth. It often leads to quitting. According to a 2022 study published in the Journal of Behavioral Decision Making, people who experience high levels of financial shame are significantly less likely to seek help, adjust their plans, or re-engage with their goals. In other words, guilt doesn't get you back on track. It keeps you stuck. That's why at Triggator, we don't reset with guilt. We reset with grace. The Triggator Triangle was built to flex. The Triggator Triangle, budget, save, pay off debt, isn't a rigid formula. It's a rhythm, and rhythms are meant to bend, not break. So when life throws you a curveball, whether it's job loss, medical bills, burnout, or just a rough month, you don't need to scrap the triangle. You just need to recalibrate it. Here's how. Step 1, rebuild your spending plan. Start fresh, not from scratch, but from now. Ask yourself, what's my real income this month? What are my 4 walls? Food, shelter, utilities, transportation. What's the next most important thing that I need to fund? Then assign every dollar with intention. Not perfection, intention. And remember, budget is a verb. You're not building a budget, you're budgeting. Actively leading your money with purpose. Step 2, revisit your peace of mind funds. If your savings took a hit, don't panic. That's what it's there for. But now it's time to rebuild, slowly, steadily, and without shame. Start with your safer categories. Alligators, those sneaky non-monthly expenses we've talked about. Fun, because joy is part of the journey. Emergencies, your financial oxygen mask. Retirement, your future paycheck. Even if you can only assign $5 to each, do it. Because it's not about the amount, it's about the assignment. Step 3, reframe your debt strategy. If you had to pause your debt payoff plan, that's okay. You didn't fail, you adapted. Now that you're stabilizing, revisit your strategy. Do you need a quick win? Start with the snowball. Want to save the most long term? Try Avalanche. Need emotional clarity? Go custom. And if you're not quite ready to resume extra payments yet, that's okay too. Make sure you're making your minimums, protect your four walls, and come back to acceleration as soon as you're ready. A story from the trenches. Let me tell you about a listener named Janelle. Janelle had been crushing her spending plan for months. She was using the snowball method, had paid off 2 credit cards, and was finally feeling some momentum. Then her car broke down. Then her hours got cut at work. Then her emergency fund, it ran dry. She emailed me and said, "I feel like I just undid everything I've worked for." But here's what I told her. You didn't undo anything. You used the plan. You protected your 4 walls. You avoided new debt. You made it through the storm. And now, Janelle's back on track. She's rebuilt her peace of mind fund. She's back to paying off debt. And she's doing it with more clarity and more confidence than ever. Because she didn't reset with guilt. She reset with grace. The mindset shift. Here's the shift I want you to make. You're not starting over, you're starting again with more wisdom, more experience, and more resilience than before. You're not behind, you're becoming. And your triangle, it's not broken, it's just waiting for you to pick it back up. Here's one from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yes, I am going there. Being the best is great. You're the number one. But being unique is greater. You're the only one. Your spending plan doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to work for you. So reset it, refine it, reclaim it. With grace, not guilt. So now you've reset your triangle, you've rebuilt your spending plan with clarity, you've let go of the guilt, and you've picked up grace. Now it's time to move forward, not with pressure, but with purpose. Because the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be present. To show up for your money, your goals, and your peace of mind, one decision at a time. Let's bring this home. You've made it to the end of budgeting for the burnout. And if you're still here, you're not just tired of trying, you're ready to try again with clarity, not chaos. And as you can tell, my voice is just about gone. So let's finish this up. In this episode, we've talked about why burnout happens even when you're doing the right things. The difference between a spending plan and a punishment plan. How to reset your triangle with grace, not guilt. Because burnout isn't a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you've been fighting. And now you're learning to fight smarter. So today's challenge, it's simple but powerful. Take 5 minutes to reflect on the progress you've already made. Write down 3 things that you've done well with your money this year. Big or small, it doesn't matter. Maybe you paid off a credit card. Maybe you said no to a purchase that you didn't need. Maybe you just showed up and listened to this episode. That counts. Because burnout thrives on negativity, but progress grows on gratitude. So pause, reflect, and celebrate. You've done more than you think. Let's keep the conversation going. Got a bounce back story, a burnout moment that turned into a breakthrough, or just want to share your 3 wins? Email me at podcast@Triggator.com or message me on Instagram, Facebook, or X at Triggator. If this episode helped you, here's how you can help us. Follow the show to stay on track with your Triggator Triangle journey. Leave a review, especially if this episode gave you permission to pause. Share this episode with a friend who might be tired of trying. And don't forget to follow @Triggator on social media for tips, encouragement, and behind-the-scenes content. Coming up next time, the Paycheck Power-Up, how to give yourself a raise without changing jobs. Think you need a promotion or a side hustle to get ahead? Think again. In our next episode, we'll show you how to uncover the invisible raise hiding in your current income. You'll learn how to renegotiate bills, cancel sneaky subscriptions, and redirect money towards your goals without working more hours. Because sometimes the raise you need is already in your wallet. You just haven't assigned it yet. Remember, burnout doesn't mean you're done. It means you're due for a reset. So lead your money with grace, lead your plan with purpose, and lead your life with clarity that comes from knowing you're not behind, you're becoming. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. See you next time.